Man, you the man.
No, we're close. All right, we're good.
All right, everybody ready?
Ready?
Bob, you ready? Bob? Bob?
He keeps freezing.
Bob, you on mute.
I got you. You hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you now. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, all right, meeting's called to order. And at this time, we'll ask Councilman Jenkins to have our invocation for us and pledge allegiance to the flag.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for all that you've given us, which is everything. Please guide us in our discussions tonight and help us make decisions that are in accordance with your will and would bring you glory and honor. We ask that you watch over and keep safe our nation, our state, and our town as we work our way through these troubling times. We pray especially that you remove this coronavirus from us and all of your world. We ask that you keep safe all those in our military, first responders, and all others who protect us in every way. We ask all this in the name of your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United
of the
States of
United
America.
States of America.
and
And
to
to
the
the
republic
republic
For which it
which
stands,
stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and
and
justice
justice
for all.
Amen.
All right, approval of the minutes of previous meeting. A motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve all of the meeting section 3A, B. There's amendments to be made.
A, B, and C, Bob. A, B, and C,
Yes.
Bob.
All of them,
Okay,
A, B, and C.
I'll second that.
okay. All in favor, if no discussion, raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approved. Any opposed, say aye. Not, motion carried. Public comments, yeah.
Right. To whom it may concern, my name is Jackie Palmer. I live in Twin Oaks subdivision on Sycamore Drive. It has come to my attention apartments may be built on Miles Jamison across from the old Bombadil's nursery. It will be accessed from Miles Jamison across from old Bombadil's nursery. It is a 3-story building. The townhomes going in on Community Road will also be dumping on Miles Jamison between Trolley and Gahagan. I have many concerns about this. One, this area is already a high traffic area. This will cause more traffic and also car accidents. Will the ages of the apartments be strictly enforced? If not strictly enforced, this could cause crime rates to go up in my neighborhood, putting many families, children, and property in our neighborhood at risk, causing major concerns. This could cause our neighborhoods and community to be less marketable, causing our property values to go down. Another concern is why wasn't this brought to the attention of the subdivisions and houses in the surrounding area, knowing it affects hundreds, if not thousands of people and families? Also, is there a way at the meeting tomorrow that neighbors affected by this have an opportunity to voice their opinions? I thought maybe instead you could put a community pool in with a sprinkler park, playground, and an outdoor basketball court. This will positively impact our community for all ages. Help the community come together, help people meet new neighbors and friends. Keep our children safe and out of trouble by having something fun to do and help keep kids and adults active. Make the surrounding area more profitable, causing less of a crime rate. In conclusion, I think these apartments will have a negative impact in our community, causing a lot of reasons for concern when there is a different way to make a good impact for our community. Thank you for taking the time addressing my concerns. Next is from Sam Engel on Arbor Road. What will be done about the state of the Miles Jamison and Gahagan Road intersection? The traffic is already extreme and adding a sidewalk to introduce pedestrians to it is not going to help. I strongly oppose this poorly thought out addition of hundreds of people in an already crowded area with a road that for the most part cannot be widened. Good afternoon. My name is Boyd Garrett, and I live on Sugar Plum Drive, which is off of Miles Jamison. I'm emailing my comments regarding two petitions being discussed during the agenda during tonight's council meeting. Petition by Ms. Davis to annex the 0.55 acre lot at the corner of Miles Jamison and Pebbles Lane. Petition by Mr. Julius and Mrs. Andrea Bean to annex the 1.57 acre lot at 507 Miles Jamison Road. My biggest concerns are the amount of foot traffic we already have in the area and the increasingly worse traffic along Miles Jamison Road, Gehagen Road, and the neighborhood roads in the immediate vicinity. These are worsening problems that will deteriorate unabated unless addressed by the town. Furthermore, approving the two requested annexations will exacerbate these issues to a degree that not only will it take more time and money to address in the future, but could very likely cost the lives of our town's residents. Instead of the annexation, I think it more appropriate to the current residents of the area to investigate improvements in the area for pedestrian and vehicle traffic. Sidewalks are a must for the many residents in the area, and the traffic light at Gehagen Road and Miles Jamison Road must be improved. On business days, this intersection is heavily delayed during rush hour traffic. Thank you for your time and consideration. This is from Lily Suter on Dove Lane. I own a home on Dove Lane, and I'm very concerned about the possible rezoning of Miles Jamison and Gehagen Road. This is a high traffic road that gets backed up frequently. The 2-lane road could simply not handle the added traffic from a complex. It took over 10 months to fix a pothole on Towhee, so I am sure the road traffic will not get the attention it needs. It already takes way too long to travel down this road during any peak times. Please do not make things more difficult by adding extra traffic to a road that cannot handle it. I already struggle turning left off of my street with the amount of traffic there currently is. This is a safety issue. This area constantly has people walking the side of the road. With the added traffic, I worry that someone could get injured, as this is already a major concern of mine. I am afraid that this will decrease property values of surrounding homes. When I purchased my home, I did not intend for any rezoning, especially during times with money being so tight. The building of a complex has potential to lower homes of the entire area. This is not okay. In this situation, only one person wins, and that's the builder, causing others to lose money. Overall, this would cause several issues. Please do not rezone this area. The infrastructure simply cannot handle it. This is from Catherine Deal. I would like to express my objections to the proposed development of an apartment complex on Miles Jamison Road and Gehagen Road. I am very much against the rezoning of this property from single family to multifamily. This development would only add to the terrible amount of traffic that exists on a road intersection that is not built to handle the load. Rezoning this property will also have a drastic effect on character of the area, which is single family homes. Good day, Town Council. I urge you to vote no on the plan to rezone Miles and Gehagen for multi-unit. I live in the adjacent neighborhood of Oak Knoll and strongly oppose this land for multi-unit. It should be single family only. The traffic on Miles Jamison already gets backed up as it is. I do not believe the infrastructure is ready to support this kind of expansion. Please oppose the multi-unit request. Respectfully, Daniel Wilson. My name is Don Patrick, and I own the property on 105 Bunting Court. I'm opposed to this planned development based on density. The existing zoning calls for 2 to 5 units per acre as per the future comprehensive plan and the FLU map. The staff report submitted on January 25th, 2021 indicated the property totaled 15.7 acres. The fact is that the 3 parcels included in this development plan total 6.71 acres. The 90 proposed units are being developed only on the 2 parcels, which total 5.14 acres. But if you choose to include the 3rd parcel, that amounts to 6.71 acres. 90 units built on 6.71 acres is greater than 13 units per acre, which significantly exceeds the 2 to 5 units per acre as currently zoned. My opposition is primarily based on the density of the development. I have an additional concern regarding drainage and the outflow of drainage from this property. There is an existing easement on my property that controls drainage, as well as a significant number of adjoining properties in Oak Knoll. This easement has been inadequate in handling surface drainage for the years. As a result, there have been many occasions where water has backflowed into the cul-de-sac at Bunting Court. The property proposed for development does not drain into the existing easement, and if allowed to do so, would cause serious drainage issues on my property as well as adjoining properties. There's also a drainage issue at the intersection of Miles Jamison and Sugar Plum and has made this intersection nearly impassable at times. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to voice my concerns, and I encourage anyone involved to contact me if they so choose. We, the neighbors of Dax Lane, have just learned of the rental housing plan that you all told us in 2019 that was not going to advance is progressing. How can you as a council do this to the voters in this neighborhood? We came out in force to show our objections to this project, but yet you have all chosen to go forward with it, and in secret no less. We, the neighborhood, will get to the bottom of this deception and put a stop to this project. How can you treat your voters this way? I am appalled. We will all be joining for your meeting to voice our objections. Cecilia and Wilson Bond. We, the Clearys, John and Beverly, live in Oak Knoll and have lived here for 25 years. My property and two of my neighbors live on Swift Court. This is at least the second attempt to rezone property in this area. It was previously disapproved and should be again. This area and part of the Somerville community and is comprised of single-family dwellings. Conversations with my neighbors at 111, 109, 107, 104, and 102 all agree that apartments in this area will increase traffic, impact safety, and diminish the value of our property. Additionally, the potential for increased crime activity exists. Historically, that always seems to happen. I know that if we were allowed to attend a town council meeting virtually, all of the residents in this area would tend to object. We respectfully request that you record our objection to this rezoning and express our comments prior to the vote. I'm writing to you today to ask that you not annex the property at Miles Jamison and Gehagen to allow the apartment complex to be built. We own a home on Dogwood Circle and already see too much cut-through traffic, which endangers the many residents who walk and bike through the neighborhood. Additionally, without the addition of another 70+ apartment units, Miles Jamison cannot safely support the traffic it already has. There are constant backups, and any wreck, no matter how minor, causes major delays. There's also a good bit of unsafe pedestrian traffic with no appropriate crossings or sidewalks. There has been at least one fatality in the 3 years we have lived here. Adding an apartment complex that is likely to add more pedestrian and vehicle traffic would be awful. From Courtney Scruggs, Dogwood Circle. 1 second. All right. I am writing to the Somerville Planning Commission regarding the annexation and zoning to multifamily residential of TMS numbers 1450705, 054, 056, and 057. As a resident of Somerville and the neighborhoods surrounding this proposed development, I am opposed to the MFR zoning on the basis of unnecessary deviation from the Somerville future land use plan and the impact of this change to the neighborhood's character. It is your responsibility as the Planning Commission to review zoning requests and ensure that all are consistent with and complementary to the comprehensive plan. This request quotes the action matrix stating the recommendation to encourage housing diversity, i.e. single-family homes, townhomes, and apartments or condominiums at the block and neighborhood levels that allow for downsizing within the local area. While I agree that this is a crucial area of focus as we grow the city of Somerville, I would argue that the area in question already contains a level of diversity, and adding this proposed multifamily development would not add diversity, but change the culture of the neighborhood. Outside of the single-family residences in this area, within a half mile of this location, are the Summer Square Apartments, a mobile home park, and numerous commercial sites in both directions. This does not include the abandoned nursery across the street, numerous residences along Miles Jamison that appear abandoned, and a residential junkyard at the corner of Gehagen and Miles Jamison. Diversity aside, the Planning Commission has a responsibility according to Action Matrix number 6 to prioritize the maintenance and upgrading of existing infrastructure in areas designated for more intensive development over the installation of new infrastructure in long-term growth areas. The land use plan designates several reasons for zone changes as follows: that the zone change is consistent with any applicable comprehensive plan for the area, that there is a need for the zone change, that the zone will be consistent with surrounding areas, that the zone change is consistent with the orderly development of public services. The development in question does not meet any of these 4 criteria. The land use plan also contains the recommended action of widening the Miles Jamison roadway to 4 lanes from Old Trolley to Ladson Road. Although this is not a concern of the Planning Commission specifically, I am concerned as a resident about how this development may inhibit the road widening, thus impacting traffic flow and overall safety due to the average daily traffic volumes exceeding their maximum service capacities already at this location. In conclusion, I again reference the action matrix, where in number 81, it states, multifamily apartments, condominiums, and senior housing should be considered in all residential land use areas on a case-by-case basis, assuming they can be integrated into the character of a given neighborhood. Due to the reasons I have outlined above, the Planning Commission cannot in good faith approve this rezoning on the basis it will negatively impact the character of the neighborhood and is explicitly against the Somerville Future Land Use Plan. Best regards, Evan Bentley. Dear council members, please deny the request to rezone this property to multifamily. Our section of Miles Jamison is already jammed with traffic. The townhomes on Community Road will also be using this section of Miles Jamison between Gehagen and Trolley. My family bought in this neighborhood because it is insulated by single-family properties. Please don't negatively affect our neighborhood by trapping us in with added traffic. A 3-story building is not in the same nature of anything around this area. Thank you, and please deny this request. Teresa Whipple. I am strongly against the proposed multifamily development on Miles Jamison. This is not the right fit for the location or surrounding area. Please consider my input. Sincerely, Ryan Goshorn, Twin Oaks.
That all, Beth?
No, sir. Got a few more.
Go ahead.
Dear Council, I am writing to you to express my concern for your proposed ordinance that would amend Chapter 12, Article 2 of the ordinances of the town of Somerville by deleting and replacing in its entirety with your new proposed ordinance. I understand that noise ordinances are in place to protect property values and quality of life, and I'm not writing to you to say that I oppose all noise ordinances. I am writing to you because your ordinance threatens vital civil liberties and is flawed in more ways than one. First, your ordinance has a chart of decibel measurements telling us what levels of sound are acceptable, but nowhere in the ordinance does it cite what type of technology will be used to measure the decibels. Nowhere in the ordinance does it cite whether the measurements of sound will be recorded or not to be used in a potential court challenge. This could turn into a situation where people are cited or even arrested by Somerville police without actually having to provide the measurable evidence that someone committed a noise violation and then refuse to comply with the officer's orders after being warned. Secondly, your ordinance seems to target potential protests. Outlined in section 12-34, loudspeakers and amplifiers or other devices which enhance or influence the level of sound in any way are listed as specific noises prohibited. These are items frequently used at protests, specifically at a protest last year that took place outside town council. Peaceful political protests are not listed as an exemption to this prohibition, meaning officers would be empowered to shut down any political protests in the town that use loudspeakers. I encourage you to list political protest and speech as exemptions to your noise ordinance. Lastly, this ordinance has far-reaching enforcement mechanisms that give officers discretion in determining if a particular noise is so offensive that it could substantially interfere with persons occupying nearby property. It is our goal to ban loud noise or offensive speech. That word offensive is literally used in the new ordinance. My worry is this ordinance seeks to continue a pattern of targeting the mayor's political opponents with the power of government. Last July, I spoke to top officers at an emergency council meeting that you cut out the public comment section in, who told me they had enlisted an extra 6 officers at the empty council meeting held in the middle of the day to deal with a potentially dangerous and violent person. The officer was given my name, CJ Westfall, someone who has never been arrested or committed or charged with a violent crime. Yes, I was upset that you cut out the public comment section, but never did it occur to me to become violent. Further, Mayor Waring was sent a letter earlier this year by the Senate Ethics Committee Chairman Sean Bennett expressing his concern for lack of public comment opportunities at meetings. This enforcement mechanism in this proposed ordinance would empower the government to imprison for up to 30 days with no recorded evidence a potentially peaceful protester who happens to disagree with or offend the mayor on substantive policy differences. I encourage this council to seek to amend this ordinance before passing it. Fix the prohibited items, provide for exceptions for peaceful protesting, amend the enforcement mechanism that threatens jail time to those who don't comply, remove the word offensive that has no relevance to sound measurement, and stop trying to stifle the speech of those who disagree with you. We can help maintain a healthy quality of life in Somerville without having to use the force of government to crack down on our political opponents. Thank you, CJ Westfall. We have lived in Twin Oaks since 1973. The growth around us has been tremendous, which has added an enormous increase in traffic. Right now, we have about 4 ways of leaving Twin Oaks, all of which at times are very challenging to get onto the main roads. Adding an additional 70+ complex will only cause more traffic headaches and nightmares to those of us who live in Rose Hill, Gehagen, and Twin Oaks. How will the infrastructure be addressed to handle additional vehicles on the road? The other concern we have is the possibility of the change of the type of renters in the future. Right now, it is proposed to be a community for 55+ workforce. How can we be sure it would remain as described? Housing is needed in the Somerville area, but so is quality of life for those of us who live here. Regards, Elaine and Robert Rafferty of Linwood Lane. Please find this request for public comments at tonight's town council meeting. Related to point 6D, there are many in the community that would appreciate an update and statement from the town on the topic of American Homes for Rent development on Noisette. I understand this has been topic of discussion recently, but as news has spread throughout the community, everyone has been caught off guard, surprised, and upset to find out that the land was not sold and American Homes for Rent is moving forward to develop. This is contrary to what was communicated in 2019 and directly and negatively impacts the town's current citizens. From Nick Kryluck of Tallow Street. I live in this area and the traffic is already a nightmare, frequently bumper to bumper. I'm against this proposed housing. The traffic in this area is ridiculous and increased housing will make it even more so. This is no place to increase traffic with all this housing. Very dangerous. From Amber Cleveland. I strongly oppose the rezoning of Miles Jamison. This proposed 3-story apartment complex will have a terrible impact on my neighborhood. Turning onto Miles Jamison from Sugar Plum Drive is difficult enough with the existing traffic. 70+ additional vehicles will only make the problem worse. We already have increased traffic from people cutting through our neighborhood from Gehagen Road. Dogwood Circle is riddled with potholes. Nothing good can come of this. I am not in favor of this project. I also want to add how dangerous it is sometimes to make a left-hand turn onto Gehagen Road from Garden Drive. The amount of cars on Gehagen on a regular day is ridiculous. Add in Little League and it is a recipe for disaster. So many accidents occur at that intersection already. It is silly to want to add to the chaos that already exists on Gehagen. And that is from Margot Palma. That's it.
Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're moving to petitions.
All right.
Petitions, Beth, you read them?
Yes, sir. Petition by Philip A. Berlinski to annex Dorchester County TMS numbers 153, 0000012, 013, and 032, located off of Ridge Road and Samuels Lane and totaling approximately 35.82 acres. Currently zoned R4 multifamily residential in Dorchester County and will be zoned MFR multifamily residential upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This is in Council District 5. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on January 25th, 2021. The Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with a recommendation for approval at their meeting on February 8th, 2021.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we accept the petition and give first reading to this ordinance.
I'll second that.
Okay, so made and seconded, do we accept this petition? Any discussion? Now, I call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. All opposed, say no. Ayes carry. Okay, Ms. Beth.
Petition by Diana T. Davis to annex TMS number 14507050056, located at the corner of Miles Jamison Road and Pebbles Lane and totaling approximately 0.55 acres, currently zoned R1 single family residential in Dorchester County and will be zoned MFR multifamily residential upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This is in Council District 3. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for denial at their meeting on January 25th, 2021. The Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with no recommendation at their meeting on February 8th, 2021.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we reject the petition and decline to give first reading to the ordinance.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Do we deny that? Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, not so much on this particular piece of property. Where it is located, there's absolutely no question that it's going to have some impact and negative on traffic. But as we look at our town and determine whether or not we need affordable housing for workforce, it's something I think that we need, I believe we need and want. We just can't seem to find places to put it. And before I talk about this specific piece of property, it's kind of not in my backyard, and I understand that. But with this particular piece of property, or these pieces of property, because there's another one to be read in a minute, it's on Miles Jamison. I'm pretty sure it's zoned R1. In my opinion, it will never, ever be R1. It's not suitable for R1, in my opinion. It will probably end up being rezoned to be something in a commercial nature, which is what's around it, which will probably create greater issue on traffic that we're dealing with. I understand the concerns of the neighbors and don't disagree with them. And, I'm fully expectant that this will not pass, but I think what I'm suggesting is we've got an issue with how we're going to deal with affording housing in Somerville as an issue. We happen to have a company who has another project in town that happens to be exceptionally nice. And so how do we go forward with this is a challenge for us as a council. And I'm not appealing to change anything here. I'm just recognizing that we have a problem and an issue and an opportunity. And we've got a piece of property that the traffic issue that associated with it, to me, is very difficult. I'm not as concerned with the other property places because of where it is, because something else is going to go there anyhow. But I just think we need to start figuring out how we're going to deal with affordable housing, particularly for workforce communities. It's going to be a problem for Somerville. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mayor, if I can have a comment.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Terry. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think I've been thinking one of the ways that we can address this issue going forward in the future of workforce housing, affordable housing, is if perhaps the planning department or the administration could look at the map of Somerville and sort of earmark properties that would fit for affordable housing and workforce housing. And as the builders or developers come in, perhaps we can sort of have a list of properties that would fit and be in the right location and that sort of thing.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. I'm having problems with my connection here.
Go ahead, Walter. Yeah, go
But
ahead.
I would like to be heard on that. I agree with Mr. McIntosh on this. That property is in my district. It's single family residential. It's zoned that way in the county, and it's on the adjacent property that's part of this whole project is on our town map, and our comprehensive plan is being single family residential. I understand that's not the what you might consider a prime residential area in Somerville. I happen to live on Highway 17A, which is also not a very prime place. And I would not want to see a 3-story apartment complex within sight of my home. I know this is not my backyard, but we're dealing with people who have vested interest in their homes, single family residential, totally surrounds this property. And yet we're going to go in there and for the sake of affordable housing, consider doing away with that, pulling the rug out from under these people. I object to doing that. I think the Planning Commission had a well thought out opinion and for various reasons voted against it. We've had probably 15 to 20 letters opposing this project and not a single one in favor of it. I have talked to Ms. Neiman on the phone. I've had to exchange some correspondence. She is bending over backwards to do what she can to get the most desirable project that she can. But no matter what she does, the bottom line is that it's going to ruin that residential neighborhood. And I could not impose that on somebody else's backyard that I wouldn't impose on my own. So again, that's why I made the second Mr. McIntosh's motion. I strongly feel that we need to go ahead and deny this. And I'll say one other thing about workforce housing. Mr. Jenkins understands more than I do about this because he's had more extensive conversations with Ms. Neiman. But where the housing can exist and get assistance from the state, it has to be on a map prepared by the state that is very restrictive in where it is. So they have limited options in where they can put it. But this is the state imposing that map on the town and saying, here's where your affordable housing is going to be. That should be our call, the town of Somerville's call, not a state mandate. And I will say one other thing about affordable housing. There's nothing that I know of that says that the affordable housing can't be single family residential. There are a lot of price ranges of houses, and there's no law that says it's got to be an apartment complex. And finally, I'll say that everybody already living in Somerville is living somewhere. If you think this is going to help the people that are already here, it's not. What it's going to do is going to attract people, workforce housing, that are going to come there and they're going to rent, and they're going to probably, since it's a workforce housing, you assume they've got a job. They're going to commute to Charleston or Mount Pleasant or somewhere else to go to work. They're going to live here and contribute to our traffic, but they're not going to have a stake in the community. So again, for all those reasons, I object to the proposed annexation as well as that on the adjacent property. Mayor, may I speak?
Yes, sir.
I agree with everybody. I don't disagree with anything Walter said. I don't disagree with anything Terry said. Right now, this property at this time, the traffic is the problem. I have been suggesting, and I sent you all an idea of, we need to do something on Gahagan Road, and it would be easy to move that traffic through there at Gahagan with a small change. That being said, that surrounding area is an old mobile home park, a body shop, a rundown, dilapidated nursery. So it's not Oak Knoll or Twin Oaks. I do plan on voting against it, but workforce is needed. Parts of my family being very much involved in the Charleston restaurant business, those restaurants are closing and cutting hours because they cannot find people to work there because they can't drive from here and afford to pay the parking. And that is going to come to Somerville in time if we don't take care of it. There's nothing we're going to do about it. We have been found out. It was nice when we were hidden, and I got elected to stop the growth. But that battle's lost and over, and we need to think about how we move into the future. We tend to think about what is going on for us. We need to plan for our grandchildren, not us, because the plans we make aren't going to happen for another 20, 25 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. I don't want to stop growth in Somerville. I've said that when I ran for mayor. The reason why is because I'm not going to stop growth. Y'all not going to stop growth. I'm not going to stop growth. No councils to stop growth. It's coming. But control growth is what we need. What we're doing right now is what we're talking about right now is control growth. We are, all of us have worked together. Every one of us. I'm going to vote against this too. But we need to be planning for areas around our areas for people to come into our community that can afford to live here. Everybody's got to have a place to stay. I've always said that. Everybody's got to have a place to stay. So we need to find areas that people can afford to come into and live in. So this particular area is not a good place for them. I talked to Aaron about it yesterday. This particular area is not a place for them to come in and live in. But we need to, it's our job, I think, as a mayor and town council to get up with our staff and be looking for areas for them to come and to bring developers in for low income families to come in and live in, because we're running out of those places. Every place we got for people to come live in or for people that making a lot of money. And low income families don't have a place to come into. So when I first heard of this, I was 100% in favor of it. But I understand now we can't do that. But we do need to look forward, us as a council and a mayor and a staff, to be looking for that place to be. And there's a place to be. I mean, we got plenty of land around here to look at, and we need to be searching for that, Bob. You just said that. We need to be searching for that, where people can come here and live and go to Charleston and go to places in Somerville and work and be able to afford to live in their homes and go to a job that pays them a decent salary and work and not have to come back home and give everything they've made to pay for the place they live in. And that's all I want for Somerville, is along with everything else I want for Somerville, but I do want for people to be able to afford to live here. This needs to be a living community because it's always been that way. My daddy came home from World War II with 5220 5220. $20 for 52 weeks. That's what he got. That's what that stood for. No job. That was VA benefits. So stop and think about that. We need to keep that in mind as people that are as old as I am, and Aaron Brown, he remembers that. Tillman Miller's daddy had a club up there on Central Avenue, on Centers Avenue, called the 5220 Club. That's what it stood for. But, that's a little bit of money. But a lot of people that we know, all of us know, there's a little bit of money they got coming in, and we need to create a place for these people to live and afford to live. And this place where we're talking about tonight might not be that place, but there's a place next door that might be. And I'm all for it. And that's all I ask you all to do. And I think everybody's on the right track. I think we all want the right thing. I really do. And I thank you so much for it.
Mr. Mayor, can I speak?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know, Michael Lyle, our economic development manager, actually has been talking to a number of different affordable housing developers and opportunity zone funds that are interested in affordable housing developments and workforce housing, that kind of middle housing. He's actually met with some builders that build products that have that. So if you have any properties in mind that you can think of that would work, please let him know in each of your districts. I actually forwarded him the map that this developer sent to us for him to look around in those areas to see if there was anything there. So we are actively working on it, but if you guys think of any properties or anything that you think would work, please let him know, because he's actively talking to developers and people who are interested in doing that type of development.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, where are we?
Call for the vote.
Huh?
The vote.
Okay. All in favor of this, say aye.
Now, that is, the motion is to reject the petition?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Raise your right hand, say aye.
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 Opposed, likewise. Ayes carry.
Mayor Walter's on audio, so I think you need an audio vote for him, or he's.
Walter, wait, what Walter's vote?
Yeah, I voted aye.
Okay. All right, Walter, thank you, Walter.
Thank you.
Where we at?
Petition by Julius W. and Andrea T. Bean to annex TNS number 14507050054 located at the 507 Miles Jamison Road and totaling approximately 1.57 acres, currently zoned TRM Transitional Residential District in Dorchester County, and will be zoned MFR Multifamily Residential upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This is in Council District 3. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for denial at their meeting on January 25th, 2021. Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with no recommendation at their meeting on February 8th, 2021.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we reject this petition and deny first reading of the ordinance.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we deny this petition. Any discussion? All in favor signify by raising the right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Okay, pending bills and resolutions, Ms. Beth.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to amend Article 4, Wrecker Services, Chapter 28, Traffic and Vehicles, Section 28-121, General Regulations.
Motion,
I'll make a motion that we approve this, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second.
okay, all in favor signify by raising right hand, saying aye.
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 Opposed likewise. Ayes carry.
Second
Aye.
and final reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 12 Environment, Article 2 Noise, Section 12-31 generally.
I move we give second reading.
Okay, second.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I could, I'd like to move to amend section 12-35 by adding as a new subsection 8. On New Year's Eve day, beginning at 10 a.m., the discharge of fireworks shall be permitted all day until 1 a.m. on New Year's, on 1 a.m. New Year's Day. On July 4th, the discharge of fireworks shall be permitted from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m. on July 5th.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, y'all heard the motion to amend those sections on January and New Year's. And discussion on that.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to, I don't have that ordinance. I can't pull it up on my screen right now. I'd like to know if in that noise ordinance, do we have something written about peaceful protests? And what is I know that the police force have some type of, something that they're ordering to check the decibels of noise. And I'd like to know if we have something written in that ordinance about peaceful protests, if people are using megaphones, et cetera.
John, you out there anywhere?
May I speak, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Peaceful protests will not be permitted. The noise ordinance will be enforced by, and Chief Rogers is with us tonight, and he can tell me if I'm wrong, but he is ordering decibel meters, and in the ordinance, different levels are decided. So if somebody has a megaphone that's within an accepted noise level, that'll be fine. But if it's blowing off the roof, then that won't be.
That satisfy you, Ms. Cummings?
Well, is it going to, are we going to add to our ordinance later a certain decibel? I guess that's what I'm asking. Is it going to be specific?
I'm like you, I can't pull it up right now because I'd probably lose everybody. But yes, in the ordinance, there are decibel levels.
Yes, ma'am. There are, it says general townwide daytime noise limit is 60 decibels. In the downtown business district, it's 80. Nighttime noise limits are 55 and downtown business district is 75 decibels. It doesn't have a specific name of the decibel meter, but it says the decibels and that they'll be measured. So it's kind of, a decibel meter would be the thing that would measure the decibels.
I think what, just for curiosity, I'm in favor of what we're doing, but for curiosity on Kim's question, when you tell me 55, 65, or 80, guess what? I have no idea what that is. I don't know how. Did I just surpass those things? And so I think the question of if you're having a peaceful protest and you're using a megaphone of sorts, how do they know what it is? I'm all in favor of what we're doing. I just want to make sure that the stuff that we don't want to impact, that this is more about cars and mufflers and a whole bunch of other things that we're talking about. I want to make sure we don't have unintended consequences.
Okay, just as a reference, a school cafeteria, heavy traffic is about 85 decibels.
Yeah. Almost.
A chainsaw is about 110.
So,
We outlawing chainsaw.
Chief John, you're there. If you unmute yourself, tell me if you can have megaphones, a peaceable protest, march down the street, be in the square. Can bands play in the square? You know, how do we do those things? It seems, if he's telling me, I don't know what decibel, I understand the term decibel, and it relates to noise. But I don't understand if you go into a cafeteria and that's 85 and we can't go above 80, I'm not sure how you do anything.
Yeah, I think when GW actually did the research on this, these came from other jurisdictions, these noise levels. So I mean, I see no reason why someone can't have a protest and a bullhorn and speak.
I think
And John, that was done during that one, a couple of those protests that we had last year that were peaceful. They weren't that loud, right?
No,
And
as a matter of fact, if you weren't even in the crowd, you wouldn't have been able to hear it.
But did they have like blowhorns or that they were talking through?
Yeah, they had a bullhorn down in
Okay.
the group.
All right.
I can tell you right now from past experience of being public safety director, this is gonna be a tough ordinance to enforce by our law enforcement division. You know, they'll do the best they can, and I'm sure John will agree with me. You know, anyway, they're gonna do the best they can, no matter how we write the law. It's gonna be a tough, it's just gonna be a tough ordinance for them to enforce. But anyway, I know they're gonna do the best they can.
I think in my mind, this will take care of those people that have a neighbor with a truck and when they leave for work at 5:30 in the morning and the whole neighborhood's stuck to the ceiling, there's a problem.
that was the intent. And the reason this ordinance was done in the first place is because if you don't have some objective standard like this, you're just going on what the police officer thinks is loud, and the other person who's writing the ticket to may have a different opinion. You have to have some line in the sand, and this does that. It's going to take some common sense application, just like anything else.
It is, Walter, but when you get to court, you know, we had it when Tom was there, and I was public safety director. When it gets into the courtroom, it's a tough thing to convict. And anyway, it doesn't matter, you know, it's not for me to say anything about it other than that. It's just you know, we'll go ahead with it and see where it goes. But it's a tough thing for John and his people to do. They got a lot of things going on, and for a noise ordinance, it's a tough thing for them to do. By the time you call, if you're in your bed and you call and you say that you got a noise ordinance, and they get there, the noise ordinance is going to be gone. And anyway, we'll go ahead with it. But that's my 2 cents worth with it.
I think the main thing about it, Mr. Mayor, is that we've got something objective that law enforcement can use, which will treat everybody the same and treat everybody fairly.
Right, that's right. Yeah. I have no objection to it at all.
No, I don't either.
Okay, all in favor of this, say aye.
All right.
Are we voting on the amendment?
Yeah,
This is a Mr. Jenkins amendment as to fireworks. I vote aye.
Aye.
right, that's what we're voting on, right? Amendment,
Correct.
all in favor, say aye, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes, carry. Okay. Okay, Ms. Beth?
I think we have to vote on the motion
Yeah.
as amended, don't we?
Yeah, now
Oh,
we have,
yeah, yeah,
on the
excuse me, I'm sorry, yeah.
Mr. Mayor, may I be heard?
Yeah,
I just want to echo what Councilman Bailey said. I think that this, as compared to the noise ordinance we already had in place, these decibel levels, hopefully we've got the right decibel levels, but these decibel levels actually make our noise ordinance less ambiguous and more enforceable, as you said, in court. And for that reason, I'm going to support the new noise ordinance. Of course, another thing Councilman Bailey said that's absolutely true is that it's going to, like anything, it's going to require some common sense application. So I trust Chief Rogers and Assistant Chief Wright that their men and women will use common sense when they apply these objective standards. If not, I guess we'll be taking up the noise ordinance for about the fourth time since I've been on council.
yeah. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Okay, so we could vote on the original, right, the original one, right?
Ordinance as amended, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, second final reading on the ordinance of environmental noise. Okay, all in favor, say yes. Signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes, carry. Okay.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 2 Administration, Article 1 in general, Section 2-6 Municipal Court.
Mr. Mayor, I would move second and final reading of the ordinance.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes, carry. Ms. Beth?
Second and final reading of an ordinance to authorize the mayor or town administrator to execute a quitclaim deed for a 1,127.16 square foot portion of an unimproved right-of-way of Noisette Road to AMH.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we deny second and final reading.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Okay, Bill, I heard your motion. I didn't hear the second.
Second from Mr. Brown.
Okay, motion made and second, and we deny the right of a quitclaim deed. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
hear me, sir. You know, this is in my district, and this American Homes for Rent has been a big headache for me going back last year when they said they weren't going to build the rental units again. And of course, they've flipped, flopped, and changed their mind. We can't seem to get to the bottom of why they're being allowed to do that, but that's not for this discussion right now. But I would urge the council to vote to deny us quit claiming this property to them because it looks like we're aiding and abetting what they're trying to do against the single family home residents.
I agree.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of denying this quitclaim, signify by raising the right hand, saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed likewise? Ayes, carry. Quitclaim turned down.
First reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 28 Traffic and Vehicles, Article 3 Stopping, Standing, or Parking is amended to add Section 28-92 Heavy Vehicles Prohibited.
I make a motion that we approve this first reading, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay, motion made, seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. I just got a question. Would this applies to any vehicle that you have to have a CDC license to operate? Is that correct?
I would think so, Walter.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what the smallest vehicle, I'm not sure if people take a school bus home if they drive a school bus anymore. Whether it would impact that or somebody that had a small tow truck or something on a big lot, whether that would be an issue. I can see where you don't want a tractor trailer rig parked in town, but there may be some smaller vehicles that do require CDC that wouldn't be too intrusive and that might be cause some hardship to the people that have to use that in their employment.
I don't believe, Walter, that they can take the school buses home anymore. But we've been dealing with this issue a very, very long time back when I first got on council. It's basically from the way I understand, when we first passed this thing way back, it was designed to keep 18-wheelers from parking in the wrong place in town and just spending the night and that sort of thing. So it was aimed at 18-wheelers. Maybe John could give a little bit more clarity on it.
Yeah, it was armed towards 18-wheelers that were registered to their residence. And they had to register to the town so they could park them overnight. And that list, when it even first started, was extraordinarily small, and it's dwindled down to nothing.
Exactly. Yep. Because back then we required them to live at the residence, or if they were renting the house, to have a letter from their landlord that they could park the 18-wheeler there. But like John has said, most of them have dissipated over the years. So.
And I've got no issue with 18-wheelers. I'm just not certain we're not going too far to prohibit anything requiring CDC. I don't know whether the cutoff what it ought to be, but I'm just asking the question.
Does anything does any vehicle that requires a CDL to operate?
Or what we got in the ordinance is anything that requires a CDL driver's license.
Which is basically any commercial vehicle.
That's right. That's right. So I don't know whether a school bus requires a CDL, but anything that requires a CDL driver's license.
What about a panel truck that you're using in construction or something? I mean, I just don't know.
That doesn't apply. Anything over, I know this when we get my CDL. Anything over 24,000 pounds requires a CDL driver's license.
That's it, right?
Right. Yes, sir. And the ordinance has in it the actual weight levels also.
Yeah. Okay. Got it right here. South Carolina identification numbers. Dump trucks, concrete mixers, trucks equipped for hauling freight, containers, timber rocks, dirt, logs, wood chips, automobiles, boats, and any other vehicles defined by the Commercial Motor Vehicle Safety Act of 1986 to require commercial driver's license CDLs to operate.
Also,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yeah.
Just where did this particular ordinance originate?
Mr. Mayor, may I speak, please?
Well,
Answer that.
you asked
This
me.
Ms. Schuler?
Yeah, I'll turn my video on. I'm sorry. This ordinance came directly. It was in this section previously from 2002, or as Aaron mentioned, it was in it previously. It got moved to the zoning ordinance because of the special use permit thing, and then we no longer have any of those special use permits. So we're trying to move it back to this section because it's really where it fits best.
Ms. Schuler, isn't it basically the case that this was our ordinance, but it accidentally got repealed by the UDO?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we're just trying to put it back where it belongs.
All right.
It was our ordinance for 18 years prior to the UDO. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
What I'm holding here, law or not law? Jesse?
Yes,
This,
sir.
my understanding, Mr. Mayor, that was our ordinance until it was accidentally repealed by the UDO.
Correct.
So what I'm holding here ain't any good.
What?
Somebody
That-
talk to me.
Yeah, what you're holding there is the proposed amendment, but it mimics what was the actual ordinance before that was accidentally repealed.
Right. It mimicked the ordinance, except it removed the special use permit section of it because that's no longer needed.
Currently, there is nothing on the books that addresses this, technically.
Well, I don't know what what you're saying, but, anyway, I guess that's the reason why we're doing away with this, thing we got. But, so heavy vehicles prohibited, section 2892, heavy vehicles prohibited, purpose. Jesse, tell me something. Is
Yes, sir.
this section, is it part of town law anymore?
No, it was moved to the zoning ordinance and then it got accidentally deleted when the UDO was done. We technically have roundabout ways we can prohibit the parking of tractor trailer units, but nothing that specifically prohibited it.
Okay,
And
so I can throw this in the trash.
Unless they pass.
No. It needs to be in there. And this is the exact language that was in there before, minus the special use permit section, because that's no longer needed. But this
We're
doesn't-
asking you, we're asking you to prove this.
Jesse, I'm telling you one thing. You could put me in your classroom on the front desk, and you got a lot to teach me, girl. I can tell you that. Okay, I'm done for that. Okay. All right. All right, where are we at?
We, did
Have a
we
motion
vote?
and second.
We didn't vote. We got to vote.
Yeah, all right. Introduction, traffic vehicles, article stopping, standing, or parking is amended to section heavy vehicles prohibited. I think Walter had all the questions on that.
Mr. Mayor, you had a first and a second, so you need to call for the question.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Signify by saying aye, raise your right hand. Okay, all opposed, likewise. Okay, ayes carried.
First reading of an ordinance by title only to authorize the mayor or town administrator to execute a quitclaim deed for Mary Jo Swanson, Bernice G. Ball Life Estate, and Diane Frankenberger and Marvin Kreger for a portion of the unimproved West 3rd South Street right-of-way.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion, we approve first reading of this ordinance for a quick
I'll
claim.
Here a second.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor, signify by raising the right hand, saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes carried.
First reading of an ordinance to rezone a portion of TMS number 13709010057 located on Central Avenue, approximately 2.98 acres and owned by 725 Central LLC from PUD Planned Development District to MFR Multifamily Residential. This is in Council District 1. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on January 25th, 2021. The Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with a recommendation for approval at their meeting on February 8th, 2021.
I hear a motion. No motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve for purposes of discussion.
I'll
Second,
second for purpose of discussion.
Mr. Mayor, may I be heard?
yes, sir.
This came before the committee that I serve on, the Planning and Economic Development Committee. It came with a recommendation from Planning Commission to approve. Our committee voted 2-1 to recommend approval. I was the one that voted in the negative on that. I've got real questions about the chronology and how it's come to this point. This is the back 3 acres of an existing apartment complex at 725 Central. It's across Central Avenue from, I guess, Atlantic Street and Charlie's Lane. If you know that section of Central Avenue is on the other side, the west side, I guess. And these apartments, I think they're 35, 40 apartments at 725 Central that have been there since at least the 90s. They got a PUD back in the 80s or 90s that allowed about whatever apartments they have now, that's what was allowed. And that was it. They got a new owner apparently. And this is just, the only thing I know is what staff has told me. They got a new owner about a year ago. And the new owner has subdivided off that back 3 acres and is trying to sell it. But it's still part of a PUD in which no new apartments or no new structures of any kind are allowed. So I'm very confused by how that came to be. I would have much preferred that the new owner that come to us and ask us to potentially renegotiate the PUD rather than subdivide the property and create a new parcel that under its current zoning, they can't build anything on. It just doesn't make any sense to me. How these folks have rendered their 3 acres useless as a separate parcel now. But so I have a lot of questions. Perhaps what we may want to do, because I know there's a first and a second, but they seem to be for discussion purposes only. Maybe the wise course would be to simply postpone first reading of this until our March meeting, until any of us on council apparently feel more comfortable with exactly what's going on with this piece of property.
I'll make a motion, we postpone.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we postpone this until the further meeting. Any discussion on that? All right, all in favor, signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carried. Okay, Ms. Beth.
First reading of an ordinance to rezone TMS number 14507050057 located on Miles Jamison Road, approximately 4.59 acres and owned by Diana T. Davis from PUD Plan Development District to MFR Multifamily Residential Council District 3. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for denial at their meeting on January 25th, 2021. The Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with no recommendation at their meeting on February 8th.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we deny first reading of the ordinance.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second, we deny this ordinance. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I may be heard, this 4.5 acres is already in the town. It would have been part of the same project that we've denied the 2 petitions for annexation. The zoning on this property currently doesn't make a lot of sense. It's a planned development on 4.5 acres that apparently only allows for one dwelling. I certainly think we should work with this owner to get something better for her, to either renegotiate that PUD to allow for more single family homes on it, or to potentially rezone it GR2 2 units per acre or GR5 5 units per acre. I disagree with others that say that this property will never be used for single family residential. The Oak Knoll, this borders single family residence. The only thing that this borders is single family residences in the town of Somerville in the Oak Knoll neighborhoods, Sugar Plum, and then on those two courts, Bunting, and I'm not sure what the other court is. There are some different uses across Miles Jamison, but this particular property has been in the town for some time. Everything around it, everything that's bordering it is single family residences. Even if at some point we were to approve perhaps a smaller multifamily residential complex or development, the idea of putting a 3-story structure of any kind there makes little sense to me. I think the closest 3-story structure to this would be Somerville Hospital. We really only have a handful of 3-story structures in the whole town. And to put a 3-story structure in the backyards of our neighbors in Oak Knoll just makes no sense to me.
No, he's done.
What's going on?
Got it.
What's happening?
Mayor, was there a first and a second, everyone?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we just need to call the question.
Call for the question?
Mhm.
Okay. All in favor signify by raising the right hand, voting aye.
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 Opposed likewise. Ayes carried.
No, he was done here.
Discussion of a site plan for the Somerville Elementary School bus loop parking area and district office stadium parking area.
What is exactly we need to discuss? I know we've seen a plan. I think the plan that, I think it was last council meeting, and we asked that be delayed to give us some time to look at it and try to determine if there were some other changes to be made. I and maybe others have had discussions with the school district, and I believe what they have given us and proposed is basically what they need to be able to do.
Because it's zone PL, Mayor, I'm sorry, Mayor, may I please speak to explain what's needed?
Sure.
I-
With me, I'm not the mayor. Sorry.
Yes, they've asked. Thank you.
Because it's zone PL, they just need y'all's approval of the site plan before they can move forward.
I'll make a motion, we approve the site plan as given.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by raising the hand and saying yes.
Aye.
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 Yes, aye.
Opposed. Ayes carried.
Consideration of proposed town seal and logo.
I'll make a motion, we approve that.
I'll
Second,
second.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
I have something I'd like to say about that. I have no problem at all with the logo. I think it's something we've looked at in the past and basically approved it. When we were looking at the signage, there was an issue that we discussed at length about the colors. The dull gray and the pea green color instead of green and gold. And it looks like there's no explanation on the material we got, but there was some of the graphics there that showed those same colors that I had thought we had rejected in a different context, but for the same reason, I don't think that the particular color schemes would work for the town. I'm not sure what we've been asked to approve, whether maybe somebody can help you out with that.
Mr. Mayor, do you mind if I speak?
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Yes, so this is not the colors for the wayfinding signage. We will bring back a mock-up of actual colors and signage for you guys, a plastic mock-up that you can look at to approve those. This is a kind of a logo and a brand guide. It kind of helps staff when we're dealing with anything we put on paper or t-shirts or different things like that, to use the colors and really to use the fonts and when to use which type of logo and when to use a different one. There was some question about the pine cones, and when you make the pine cones into a smaller, like our business cards, it's really too small. So it gives some guidance on that. So it's kind of really tightening up the colors we use. Technically that color, green, is the color, and I can't show you, I would guess I would show you, is already kind of the color that's on our business cards. So we really haven't changed the colors significantly. It's the color we already use. It's kind of a muted green that's a little bit like the Somerville history book that I think we probably all have a copy of it. I have a copy of it on my table over there. So this is more of these are the things as we make presentations or we put together letterhead, or as we're using the actual logo or the seal, when to use it and how to use it. It can literally, with now that we've cleaned up the actual graphic for the logo, it can be used in any color. You can have a black background and a pink logo, or a pink background and a purple logo. You can do it however you want, because now we have it in a version that can be utilized a little bit easier.
If there's no significance to the colors, then why would they put in the material that we got? I don't understand what that's supposed to be doing. I thought we were clear that we wanted to stick with the town's traditional colors. The pink and the gray and the light green and all that was something. Don't roll your eyes, please.
I didn't.
They were. You rolled your eyes, but they were something I believe. If may I speak, they were something I believe were prepared by Dream for their branding. We never accepted that as a town's branding, and that's all I've got to say about it.
Oh, sir, are you talking about the Somerville S? That's not at all what we're talking about. That is the chambers.
What's the chamber got to do with this?
No, the S is the Somerville S. That is the Chamber Visitors Center logo. That's not the town's.
I understand what the logo is, and you understand what I'm saying, Rebecca. That we have discussed the Pantones, as you would say. And I thought the town had a consensus that we didn't particularly like these dull colors. And now they've been thrust back at us again. That's all I've got to say.
Rebecca, do you have something that you can put up on the screen for us to look at exactly what we're talking about?
It was in your packet. I don't think from my laptop I can. I mean, from my iPad I can. I don't know how to.
I have it up on my screen if you want me to share my screen.
Sure.
It just maybe a question of clarification, because this is way beyond my level of expertise since I'm colorblind. However, given that caveat, it was my understanding, and it might be a little bit different than Councilman Bailey's, that when the green and gold were used, that it would be the darker green and I'm going to say the more bolder gold, not the light colored, that quasi green and lighter gold that we would be using when those when those colors were used, we were going to be aligned that anytime green and gold was used, that's what would be used. As far as the other colors go, if we're doing something that is truly representing the town, and I understand green and gold is probably what we would use, and that other colors, just like with anything else, might be used for something else, as in breast cancer month. You might use a different color for something like that if you were doing something in town. So just trying to help bring some clarity to what seems to be confusing.
Mr. Mayor.
Just to throw in a thought, Kim in my district is Ashley Ridge.
So, Mr.
That ain't
Mayor,
got nothing to do with it, Bob.
if I could, if we can, is everyone comfortable with the font and the new seal and the font and the actual logo with the pine tree? If we take colors out of it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then we're going to, I kind of need that for some of the things that we're working on, including the logo for the stadium, for the turf field. So that's good. If you guys want to, we can table the color discussion, and maybe if you'll come by my office and I can show you the different greens that are in my office, and we can try to work on that. The only thing I will say is the greens that you see, I think what you guys have is a printout and then a scan in of the printout. So maybe if I show it to you on my computer from the actual email, that might help a little bit more. So if you would, I'd encourage you guys to stop by and we could talk about that. But if you're good with the seal and the font and the logo and the font, then we can use that, because I need that for some guidance for the field.
I think the update on the seal is very good. I mean, it's a much fresher. I don't see a difference in the green in the old seal and the new seal, and I don't see any gold in the old seal. So I like bringing the gold in, but the font the font needed some updating in the Flower Town and the Pine. So I'm happy with the new seal.
Rebecca, let me tell you something. Coming from me, as a new mayor, we got a lot going on. I mean, a lot going on. I mean, we got a Berlin Myers Parkway going on. We got a Maple Street Park going on. We got all kind of stuff going on. And I know that I've been put a lot of pressure on you. And I don't give a damn about a color of green, a color of gold. It's green and gold. I got green and gold in my blood. I don't care what shade of gold it is or what green and gold it is, as long as it's green and gold. I mean, you and Madeline and Jesse have worked hard on trying to satisfy whoever you're trying to satisfy on council with what shade of green, what shade of gold it is. You've done an excellent job trying to satisfy men, of all people, of what shade they want. I ain't ever heard of such a thing. But my friend Walter Bailey, who I love, you know, he's into that. But let me tell you something. We got to get by this. You know, we got to get by this and move on to something else. And I got to get you back into what you're supposed to be doing for the town. And that's working on the Berlin Myers Parkway. That's working on the Maple Street Parkway. That's working on all the big stuff that I'm trying to get you to work on, which you're doing an excellent job on. The finances of the town, to all the stuff that you have done an excellent job on, that I commend you on. And the hell with all this colors and all that stuff. I don't care if we got a seal right now. It can go back to when it was when I first came to work in 1970. That was a good seal. I still got it on my refrigerator in my garage. I'll still put it on my truck, proudly ride it around town. You and all y'all have tried your best to satisfy everybody. So, you know, let's just move on with that. Don't show it to anybody else, because if you do, Billy is gonna say he's got a problem with it. Walter's gonna say he's got a problem with it, or whatever. But let's just all be happy with what we got. Bob's already said that he's got, what was it down there, Bob? Ashley River? Before you know it, we could try to satisfy their colors, you know? And and he's right, you know, so, you know, let's just move on with that. Y'all get going. We're happy with everything. You're doing a great job with all that stuff. But we got big fish to fry. And let's get them fried and move on with big stuff that we got to do, because we gonna get the Berlin Myers Parkway started hopefully by the summer. That's big stuff to me. We could get the the Maple Street project started. That's big stuff to me. Stuff that I promised I'd try to get going when I ran for mayor. The flooding that we got going on in Somerville, we're working on that hard as we can go with Russ and his crowd. And those are the things that I want to get going in Somerville. So y'all keep up the good work with that kind of stuff. And this seal, get me one. I'll put it on whatever kind of coat I got. I'll proudly wear it as long as it's got Flower Town and the Pines on it and a little bit of green and gold. If it's a little bit darker green or a little bit lighter green, a little bit darker gold, a little bit lighter gold, it don't make no difference to me. And I'll tell you what, there's very few of us that know the difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bear. I think we'll like I said, we'll move forward with the logo and the seal kind of the way they are, and we can like continue to look at the colors if you guys want to.
Thank you.
All right. Next is appointment of clerk of court.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we appoint Mandy Pitcock as our clerk of court at a salary of $52,000 annual, retroactive to this Monday, February 8th.
Second?
Second.
I'll second. Yeah, okay. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Raise your right
Aye.
hand. Opposed,
Aye.
Ayes carried.
All right. Discussion of public hearing for ordinance to repeal and replace the Unified Development Ordinance.
Motion?
Mr. Mayor, you had put this on the agenda to ask council if they wanted to have the public hearing for this at the Planning Commission, for the repeal of the UDO, at the Planning Commission or back at council.
Okay, what's council's wishes on this?
Well, we missed the deadline for the next planning commission meeting. So if we waited on planning commission, the public hearing would not be, I think, until the end of March. On the other hand, I don't know whether council wishes to have a public hearing on this during the regular March meeting, which would be a couple weeks earlier. So basically, if I understand Ms. Vance correctly and just the calendar correctly, we would have an option of the regular March meeting, the second week of March, or the planning commission at the end of March.
Just as a note, they're only 4 days apart technically. The
Oh, really?
March Planning Commission meeting is the earliest it can possibly be. It's March 15th, so
When is the council meeting?
the 11th.
And we're too late for March 11th?
No. I was just saying the March Planning Commission meeting is only 4 days after the March council meeting.
Okay.
You would be too late for the February meeting, which is the
Correct.
22nd.
Right.
And I think, and you can give us
Jesse, you saying we can do it 4 days after the council meeting?
I'm saying if you chose to have it at the Planning Commission meeting, as is traditionally done by the town, it would only be 4 days later than if you chose to have it at your council meeting in March.
I would move that we have the public hearing for the UDO repeal at March 15th Planning Commission meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Second? Okay. All right, motion made, second, we have it at the planning commission meeting on the, what'd you say, Bill, the 15th?
March 15th, yes, Mayor.
March 15th. All right, all in favor of that, signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Okay. Jesse, you got that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right, public comments open. Public comments can be sent, this is after the meeting.
Do
Got
not have
anything,
any
Beth?
for this. No, sir.
Okay. Executive session.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we go into executive session, to discuss legal, contractual, and personnel matters.
Second.
All in favor, say by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Ayes carried.
Hey, if Mike could, clerk, read the, items A through E that are going to be discussed in the executive session.
Yes, sir. Beth?
Sure. Legal matter regarding a proposed tax increment financing district. Legal matter regarding Somerville Fire and Rescue Fire Service. Personnel matter related to legal departments. Legal matter related to Farm Springs Road. And contractual matter related to listing agreement for the sale of the following pieces of town-owned property: 213 West 2nd South Street, 208 Cedar Street, and 213 West Richardson Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, just give me a second here.